Hey everybody, welcome to Obscurities in Miniatures, and it is time to get around to the next box of Yoroni models for Parabellum's Conquest game. Today we're going to look at the Oni Ayakashi, which are your big, red-horned, stereotypical Oni monsters of Japanese yokai, folklore, and legend. So, looking at them, pretty straightforward. Not a lot, I'm guessing, in terms of various extras that we're going to get to play with. It's not like a dual kit or anything. Now, something to be aware of, so far at least, all of the Yoroni are very large, monster-based sized models for Conquest. Those are like 60mm bases, for those of you uninitiated. You get 3 sprues, it looks like. We have the basic one, and then we have 2 with one having, I believe, the leader options on there. I do like the fact that construction is a little bit more complex than just gluing 2 halves together and calling it a day. Actually, that looks quite complex. Of note is the fact that we do have a separate leader and troop choice for both the head, the arms, and actually, interesting, we have another head option for these models. Hands are going to be the same. I'm curious, one of the nice things about the previous set we saw, the Oni Ayakashi, was at least there was enough modular options that we could kind of play around. I'm noticing that it looks like we've got right above the elbow is where the cutoff is on the arms. Yep. I'm wondering if there's a little bit of flexibility in terms of how we build these guys as well. Maybe not, because the other one at least looked like I had a peg or something, whereas that looks pretty flat. On the other hand, we do have some options for the arms back here. So it looks like between everything, we've got at least 5 different sets of arms and 5 different heads, which isn't not bad in terms of variance. Interesting that we have a couple little details and things to add on to the body. Doesn't look too complex, but definitely looks like it's going to end up quite large. And I'm okay with that. Looking at the actual sprue here, you can see the size of the sword is approximately, I'd say, 1.5 to 2 Space Marines tall. That's a good size weapon. Like, I'm looking for my Witch Hunter Inquisitor friend. Yeah, I'd say it's about 2 Inquisitors tall. Again, obviously the sign of a good weapon. Really digging the detail in the armor. Different types of layers of that. You've got little details and embellishments on them. Can't go wrong with a few random skulls, pouches, talismans. Say, is it supposed to be like a omamori or something? I don't know what these are supposed to be. Clasps for the armor, maybe? I feel like they're obviously not going to be as thick as the other guys. And I'm now seeing that there is only... oh, okay. 2 sprues in the box. Okay. I'm like, these 2 are connected. There we go. Okay, I was panicking. I'm like, crap. That kind of sucks if that's the case. Nope, everything's where it's supposed to be. I don't like that sword. I don't like the edge to it. It's a little too weird for me, but that's okay. Can't win them all. This is going to be challenging, getting that off in one piece. Hopefully it's not too big of a mandatory part. Interesting that they only have 3 toes on the feet. Whereas it looks like they have 4 fingers and a thumb still. Looks like the top half of the face. Yeah, they definitely look a little bit thinner than the Oyabun and Daimyo kit. He seemed to have a bit more bulk, but he also seemed to actually have clothing on, whereas these guys, while they do have some armor, are a little bit lighter dressed than some of their other compatriots. So I feel like I've talked long enough. I think it's time for me to put these guys together and see how everything turns out. So hopefully if you want to find out yourselves, sit tight. We'll see you then. Alright, we got our Oni Ayakashi all put together here. or at least mostly put together. Some of them are kind of all... Shut up. Let's just do this. All right. I'm going to start rambling into myself here, and I probably shouldn't. So, here is the first of our Oni, and I gotta say, I'm pretty happy. After looking at the initial box art, I was like, oh, they look kind of weedy and skinny, but no, they're actually quite solid and sturdy, even though I don't have them glued down on the base here. This would be the leader model. One of the nice things is they've got all kinds of fun little decorative pieces to hang all over their armor, be it drinking gourds, pipes, skulls, what have you. They also have these little clasps that cover up the rope things that attach their armor. Rope things. They were kind of annoying to get glued down. I don't think I did the best of jobs, and I kind of got those in the way of his head, but I think it worked out in the end, so it doesn't really matter. And I went ahead and built these pretty vanilla, just because I was very dismayed at first that, oh, there's no way I can really do anything else with them in terms of, you know, messing around with them. Kind of omamori thing there. Bad joint line. That's more likely me than anything else. Wasn't a big fan of the head sculpts, to be honest. I think they work, they're okay, they're not bad. I just think they could have been cooler. And maybe that's just me being completely happy and pleased with the Ayakashi that we got first on this channel. So it could just be my own personal preference. They definitely look like Oni. And I gotta say, they do rank up pretty nicely. At least the two that we see on the screen at the moment. There were some options, at least for the heads, for the blades as well. But then I started thinking, well, looking at how the joints all went together, for example, they all have the knotted rope bands for the connection point between the upper arm and, you know, the rest of it here. So that got me wondering, because I started to build a couple and I'm like, they're all kind of similar in size and shape. And since some of them did have alternate hands, for example, that fits pretty well. And I don't think that's actually his arm. And if it is, well, good lucky coincidence, but I don't think it is, because as far as I know, this is his actual hand. So this does seem to necessitate some more further thorough investigating on my part as to whether or not we can have totally flexible arm and limb choice with our Oni here. Oni Ayakashi, that's what I was thinking of, the other guys. I mean, nice solid unit. And like I said, I think if everything works out in terms of what I believe is going to be fairly modular, you could have a nice, very distinct looking group of Oni in the end. And when it comes to rank and file type games for me, I do want to have some variety, and especially if I have a larger army of, you know, big dudes, I want a little bit more variety in how they all look in the end. And I mean, yes, I am coming from being an ogre player from, like, what was it, 4th or 5th edition when we first saw them come out. They've always been my favorites. Dope. You can also see, you know, that Conquest size and scale in major effect when compared to some of the other stuff. However, if you're like me and always on the lookout for interesting and exciting Asian-themed models, these guys are awesome. I mean, there's just no denying. They're going to be great for any kind of other tabletop games out there besides Conquest. And the fact that you don't need tons and tons and tons of them in order to field either a full army or a, you know, First Blood skirmish warband, you're going to be in pretty good shape, I think, in terms of having some flexibility. If you have just a couple of boxes of various things, I think you're really going to have a lot of variety and options in that regard. And heck, even when it comes to rank and file type play, then I think you're going to have plenty of things available, especially as the army starts to get a bit more fleshed out. Just keeping in mind, at the moment, we have, like, what? 3 different units? We've got, well, 4, I guess. The 2 Tengu sets, the Oni, and the Kami. So, I mean, that's not bad, just for getting things started. I mean, I'm going to definitely be keeping an eye out for the Kappa and other things. Just if you're curious how big they are in terms of hanging out with other Conquest models here. One of our undead Minotaurs with Bucephaloi? That sounds right. That's probably not, but it sounds right to me. Like, what else do we got? Where's like a Conquest human? I always have that one huntsman guy here. So you can see they're definitely going to be pretty big and intimidating looking models. They may not have the bellies of the Ogres, but personally I think they're definitely a lot cooler. Ogres, for when they came out, were great models. I like mine still. This is the only one I have handy. I have a few more painted, actually, believe it or not. Grabbing him just because he's been hanging out and waiting. The Oni Oyabun. I'm like, you know what? I want like big armored Oni. I don't have enough. We need more. I don't think he needs to be actually attached to the unit, though. Don't quote me on that. Because with the whole modular nature of the Yoroni being able to kind of mix and match units together into the regiment, you may not need to necessarily have the Oyabun there like you would with other things. I don't think he attaches to a unit. I'll have to double check because everything's online. I'm one of those people that's weird and likes having like actual physical rulebooks. I just haven't printed it out yet for the Yoroni, but I am hopeful. Hopeful in the fact that we're continuing to get some really fun and cool models. Hopeful in the fact that I will be able to see if I can squeeze out even further variations on these poses. And hopeful that I will actually get all of them painted in time for playing some games in the near future. So with that said then, this has been I, Lord Tamberlane with Obscurities and Miniatures, saying thanks for watching, and we'll see you back here soon. Bye-bye.